How's it going, everybody? I hope you all had a good weekend. I got quite a bit done myself. Got a lot of my holiday stuff done. Got most of my presents for my kids wrapped. That was pretty good. Finished up a bunch of that last night as well. Worked on some of the computer stuff. Worked a lot on the charts. Going into 2020, there's a lot of stuff to kind of go over in the next couple weeks, which we will get to. Just going to try to take it slow. I don't want to overwhelm anybody with anything, so we'll go slow, just, a little bit more each day is kind of what I'm thinking. Add a little bit more here and there, just so that everybody can kind of stay in pace together. Won't get too far ahead. A bit of news overnight. Obviously we're hitting all-time highs, as of just now. I mean, a few minutes ago we hit 3193.25. Something that ATG and I were just talking about in the Discord, and that he had pointed out about looking for a pullback. And then something that you should really be paying attention to as we continue to do these is what I had just said, is that every time we've hit an all-time high overnight or a new high, every single time we've done that in a pre-market session or overnight, we have pulled back a decent, at least, 10 to 20 handles during cash open, which is pretty normal considering that they're able to move this up without, relying on equities and without relying on cash, right? So I'll explain more about that as we go, because it's something that you guys will need to learn to watch out for and learn how to trade, actually. But for now, basically, we just need to be aware of what history has done and what it has said. And each time it has hit that, we've had a pretty significant little pullback going into the market. So that is pretty normal. So some of the stuff we'll be watching, Darth's outlook this morning was literally almost exactly what Spartacus and I went over last night. I know there's some issues with the audio on the video for whatever reason, where it's when we're having one or more people on there at the same time, it for some reason is cutting out the other side of it. So let me go through some of the important stuff that'll be going on. There are some economic events coming out. I did post it in the Discord this morning, the economic calendar. So there's the biggest one that matters is the PMI number, which comes out, I believe, at 9:45. So that'll come out in about a half an hour. So 15 minutes after open, there's that PMI number coming out, which, especially with the way the market is right now, that could really be something significant as we kind of push up here with lower volume and higher highs. And I mean, we're literally just right on the all-time high here now, knocking on that on that 31.93.25. So we'll see. We'll obviously keep that open, and we'll look at our futures here. So you can see this morning we've been having a nice rise pretty much all night last night and this morning. Oil is selling off just a little bit, still in the green, but kind of giving back a little bit of the gains it's had this morning. Gold doing the same thing. It was kind of all up and down all night, and then just kind of giving back a little bit. It did hit a high of 1483.70. You can see the bonds there in the lower right corners selling off. The NASDAQ also hitting a high of 85.76.50, and the VIX is well down below 12. So you guys remember what's happened every time. That is definitely something I'll be doing this morning, is grabbing some hedges in the VIX. Going long on the VIX. I'll give myself probably a couple of weeks at least. But seeing that it's now it's 1196. We hit a low of 1181 this morning in the VIX, so that is significant. So we have said every single time it has gone under 12. Yes, I've seen it get all the way down to like 8, but not in a long time, and I don't see that happening in this market anytime soon. But every time it's been under a 12, I've been picking these bad boys up in mass quantity, because every time it's done that, within a week or two, we've gotten a nice big jump. And even I had that one where I showed you guys a month ago where I picked all those contracts up, and literally the next day it hit 15%. It went from 12 to like 15 overnight, and I cashed those out for 500% each. So I'm just saying that that's something, maybe if you want to pick up a contract or two in the VIX, this would probably be the time to do it. Do not pick it up for tomorrow. Make sure when you guys are looking at those contracts, you remember that VIX contracts expire on Tuesdays, not Fridays. And to make sure you give yourself probably a week. So if I would pick up anything short, I would grab one for next week. I'll probably grab a couple for next week, and then the majority of mine will probably be for the first week of January is what I'll be looking at. Some of the other news, a big story coming out is Boeing. Boeing may halt production of the 737 MAX amid fears of further delays in its efforts to return the plane to service. There were signs of the economy bottoming out in China overnight, but data from Europe was less encouraging. DuPont is folding its nutrition business into International Flavors and Fragrances in a $26 billion deal. And China is cranking up the pressure on Germany not to ban Huawei. So the Boeing thing, pretty big news. We've also been watching the trend line that is just about to come into play once again. This is the fourth time that it would be catching it. So there used to be the old adage that the more times it caught it, the stronger it became. I always take the opposite of that. I think that if it bounces off that trend line, that is good. It'll stay in the range that it's been in for the last this entire year, basically the last 2 years. But I think that with some of this bearish news coming out, we could hit that trend line and fall right below that. And if that trend line goes, this thing could go really, really far down. Like I have one of my targets already set. If it breaks that trend line, I'm thinking we could go all the way to 268. The news is Boeing's board may decide to halt 737 MAX production. That's going to be definitely coming into play, if not just today, over the next couple of weeks. So that's definitely something to keep your eye on. China seems to what it is the bottoming out in China. Economic data out of China overnight strengthened impressions that the country's economy is bottoming out. Industrial production growth accelerated to 6.2% in November, above 5% expected, and pulling further away from the 17-year low it hit in August. So I will be watching some of my China stocks to see if they are going to get a little bit of extra, maybe a nice little push of volume going into the end of the year here. I primarily only watch Baba, Bidu, and Neo. I know those aren't really necessarily, they do have a lot to do with production though, if you think about it. Just because that's like, their main, those are their biggest stocks, and that's their main economy that we have here in the in our stock exchange. There were some issues in the EU. So by contrast, flash purchasing manager index data out of Europe were weaker than expected, with gauges for manufacturing activity in Germany, France, and the UK all falling. So that is also that is their PMI number. So that will be interesting to see today when ours comes out, to kind of see if ours are falling behind too, or if we will continue to see a rise as we have in the last couple of months. What else do I have on those? Asian stocks, DuPont. Yeah, the DuPont thing, I kind of think that I missed the trade on DuPont. There's no way. I mean, you would have had to have been trading stock this morning to kind of catch that DuPont trade. And then, yeah, the China warns Germany over Hawaii. Okay, so there's all of those. Some of the other stuff we were watching. So the stocks that are making the biggest moves this morning were DuPont, Amarin, Boeing, Disney, PG&E, Amgen. So went over the DuPont thing. Amarin has one of their new drugs they hit, I think it was a phase 2, so they had a huge pre-market fall rise. Again, that trade is pretty much already over. The Boeing thing we just talked about, so that'll be something to watch. Disney, they put out news that they will be launching their Disney Plus service in France, I believe in March is what they're talking about here. Let me double check that I'm saying that correctly. Disney Plus streaming service will debut in France in late March after the company struck a deal with Vivendi's Canal Plus platform. It's not known how much Canal Plus plans to charge for the service, but that will be something I'll definitely be keeping on watch, just because we know that could be the next leg up for Disney. PG&E, ticker symbol PCG. This is what DT and I have been talking about so much over the last couple weeks, especially, and we've been watching all year. The utilities bankruptcy reorganization plan has been rejected by the California Governor Gavin Newsom. The governor said the proposal does not comply with a recently enacted state wildfire law. So they came out with the numbers finally on the victims fund, and their stock actually had a big jump up. I think this is going to be something that will start. This will be something we'll start seeing more of this year, I'm sure, is things falling apart again for them. And this is why I will end up probably picking up as much, I'm going to take long-term shorts. I will hedge this out probably with some shares, but I'll probably be selling some premium on this as well. Long-term, though, for sure. A couple other individual names. So there was the stuff that we went over that in the market outlook that Darth went over. Another one that I really think that everyone should be keeping an eye on this week is Walmart. They've been in this tight range again, and every time it's been in this tight range, it consolidates, and then there's a nice big rip up. Yes, it could break the trend line and come down, but I really think that Walmart going into the end of the year, it could break out of this little tight range once again. I talked about Amazon last night, and I know you guys, again, with the audio thing, I'm sorry. But my thing with Amazon is that the people are always looking for the Santa Claus rally with Amazon. It seems like every year. My thing with Amazon this year is that they have earnings in January, and it seems like about 2 weeks before earnings with Amazon, there's always this nice big rally up. So I'm going to be waiting just a little bit on Amazon to get long on it. I'll probably wait about 2 weeks, so it'll be 2 weeks before their earnings, and there should be a nice little rally up. I won't hold through the earnings, but I will play that run up to the earnings. Another one in this morning is Urban Outfitters, which is URBN. I've brought this up a couple of times over the last couple months. The apparel retailer was downgraded this time to hold from buy at Loop Capital, which expressed concerns about intensifying promotional activity among specialty apparel sellers. So we'd gotten the upgrade just 2 months ago and played that up, and now it's being downgraded. So I have a feeling this will be the kind of a retail theme over the next couple of weeks. I think we'll start seeing these numbers all kind of pulling back in. Yeah, the Amgen, which is AMGN by United Health, UNH, the biotech firm and the health insurer were both added to the conviction buy list at Goldman Sachs. So UNH has been one that we have been talking about and playing quite frequently. That is another one that I'll be watching for a nice big push up also. Yeah, if you guys didn't get the chance, you guys really need to be watching those market outlook videos every morning. Even if you don't have the chance to watch them in the morning right after Darth puts them out, I would really highly suggest watching those once or twice a day, even in the evenings. It's not like things that you have to jump on. It's not like small caps where you're going to miss the trade and it's over that day. These are things that will play out over time. And like you could watch those market outlooks this morning, you could watch it tonight and sit there and chart. Whenever you have like 20 minutes, I would go through that thing and chart it out. And if I was a new guy, I would literally be watching that thing as many times as I possibly could. Even if I was at school, I would have that thing on my cell phone, listening to it in my earbuds. If I was at work, I would watch it in little increments as I could, taking notes and sitting there and charting that stuff when I got back home or when I was able to. The information that he's putting out in those things is literally worth gold, because it is literally information that we are trading on. And ironically, it is still, it was funny because it was exactly the same things I went over last night, and he didn't even watch that or listen to it. He was at work. But I'm just saying that if you guys want to find that edge or see what we're doing, that is the way to do it. We can hand you guys little trades here and there, but the problem is if we just hand you one trade and that thing doesn't work out, that's going to be frustrating, or you're going to lose all of your conviction. You know, you're going to lose your stance on what we're doing here. So the best thing to do is, in those market outlooks, we're giving you about 10 trades a day basically, and some of them, yes, are repeated through the week, but you could sit there and I guarantee if you took down that exact list that he has, that he even posted under with the RVOL, and then you look through his video and you chart those out, even if you just paper trade them, I guarantee you in a couple of weeks from now, minimum 70% of those will have all been winners. I guarantee it. I will put my word on it. I will bet anybody actual money. But yeah, I'm just trying to stress the fact that we are trying to help you guys, where there's nothing ill will here. We want everybody to succeed. And we do feel like we're failing if people aren't succeeding. So when I hear some of the stuff I hear or read what I read, I do take it to heart, to be honest, because we really want to see you guys succeeding. And I know how hard it is when you're trying to work and how frustrating it is, especially around the holidays. You know, money gets crazy and it's just, you know, it's a crappy time of the year when you're trying to do so much. But I would suggest taking 30 minutes out of your day, either in the morning or night, whenever you can, and just going through that stuff with a fine-tooth comb and really paying attention to what he is saying. And as we post that stuff, that is going to get you ahead farther than 90% of people, 95%, 99% of these people that you're trading against, right? So that is definitely what I think is I would suggest for anybody wanting to get ahead here. I'm going to grab some more coffee real quick. We're going to be opening in about 5 minutes. I suggest you guys do the same. You know, you've got to get that pre-market ideas ready if you're going to be day trading. A lot of these things that we're trying to push are not day trade things. These are swing trades that even a full-time guy at work can more than take 2 seconds to, if they know what their trade idea is, they wait for the right spot to enter, and then you can take that trade and go back to work and just, you know, let it work for you. You know, you don't need to be sitting down in front of the computer all day. Eventually you get to that point and then you're able to start really trading, right? But as of right now, you don't need to be doing that. I know how busy everyone is and we understand that. So I would suggest just, you know, getting your trades ready and pick a couple of things, you know, a week, a couple of names. Don't be jumping around from this play to that play just because somebody else made X amount on this. I would suggest, you know, picking 1 or 2 plays a week, setting those up for a nice long-term play. Don't be just jumping around every day, because that's going to cause you to lose more than anything. So I will be back on in just 2 seconds, guys. Give me just a minute here and we'll get going. Thanks, guys. You guys, another thing I was talking about with the all-time highs overnight and stuff like that. We also have already hit the expected move, both on the SPY and boom, there right in the SPX. I just wanted to make sure as we opened up. So yeah, we actually already hit that. So I mean, I figured it's gonna happen. So you can see gold continuing to sell off, the bonds continuing to sell off, hitting a high here now of 31.94. Would be definitely interesting. So you guys, I added something to this chart over here in the bottom left corner. I will explain more about this later today and tonight. It's something that I always watch. There's also another ad indicator that I watch, which is ADSPD. I will continue to use this traditional ad decline chart for you guys, but this is something I want to explain to you guys. And I will explain this in detail as we get going, probably later tonight. I also have the bubble indicators, and I have all of this ThinkScript stuff. Me and Darth we're going to put a ThinkScript page in the Discord where you guys will be able to copy these ThinkScripts, because this is not the standard way to set this up. If you can go ahead and type this in, which is $VOLD, but I will explain how all these ThinkScript works, and I will give you guys all the scripts for these for free, obviously, because this is something I want you guys to be able to use and understand. So as of for right now, just understand that that's how we'll be using this. And I will explain more of this as we get going. I do need to change this to the 5-minute though. You need to keep all the indicators on the same, which I'll be changing a lot of this in the next few days as we get going. The same with our ad decline line. See, all this stuff I need to change. I want to keep it on the 5-minute. A lot of guys like to keep it on the 15-minute because it's less noisy. I may end up doing that, but you can see we opened up at a high of 1680 on the ad decline line. Still reaching all-time highs here, hitting 31.96. So we're already up about 0.65% in the S&Ps, ticking nice and strong here. I mean, a positive 1,086. So super, super strong this morning already. Let's look back. I want to look at some of the individual names here. Let's go through. Let's look at our FANG stocks here. Wow, Apple hitting a high of 277.94 this morning. Amazon selling off just ever so slightly. Still in the green, obviously. Netflix selling off pretty strong here already. It was up a couple of dollars, and now it's kind of giving back those. We'll see if this thing can't turn it around. Google pretty much chopping straight across, and also Microsoft continuing to chop. I need to fix my Facebook. We were messing around with this last night when we were streaming. But yeah, Facebook making a nice push up here this morning after all those big declines last week. I was kind of expecting this. We all were kind of talking about this. So that's pushing up there nicely. So you can see Apple and Facebook trying to push up, and the rest of the FANGs all kind of giving back any gains that it had this morning. So Boeing is actually trying to make a push back up here, which basically would have been the bounce off of that 326. So 326.43 is actually where it hit. But I mean, 43 cents within what we were saying. Roku actually looking quite bearish as of now. We'll see if they can't start buying that up. Shopify coming down, but it's got support there on the upper Celt as now it's breaking it right as I say it. That was a great play last week. Handed that one on a platter on Friday. I don't know if anybody took it. That was one of my biggest winners. I let one run, so we'll see. I've still got it. I may end up having to sell it. This morning it's still up slightly from where I bought, but it's already down another 50%. But that's fine. I mean, it was a huge, huge winner last week. NVIDIA kind of sitting at about $1.94 up, $1.97. Tesla making another nice push up, already up 1.8%, trying to make that push up to another 2. It did hit 366.66, ironically. Activision still up a little bit, kind of selling off of its pre-market gains here as well. BABA making a nice push up, hitting a high of 207.53. Bidu finding some support on that upper Celt on the 4-hour as it kind of sells off. AMD, nice little push up, but we'll see if that can't continue to push up. It did hit a high last week of 42.95. Qualcomm kind of bringing back in. It's had a nice run since earnings. I do expect this thing to consolidate. So in the lower left-hand corner here, Qualcomm, it will be a chart to watch. See if this thing can consolidate for a couple of days and then make another push up. That's what I'd really like to see. Disney kind of wedged in there on the 4-hour between the middle Celt and the 14 MA, and McDonald's making a nice push up this morning. It did hit a high of 198.16 already as it continues to push up. So yeah, that'll be stuff that we'll be watching all day today. You can see Microsoft turning around already and making this nice push up. So it sold off right away out of the gate, and now it's already pushed up to 155.49. Facebook, Apple continuing to push up, and Netflix coming back to life here, so that's good to see. So Amazon basically the only one. It's still up a couple dollars though, but the weakest so far. So we'll see if Amazon can't catch up a little bit and keep pushing this market up. I did forget to check XLF. XLF making a nice push up. Wow, look at that, 30.98. So it's up almost 0.85%. So that'll be something definitely to watch this morning. You can see we were pretty much ticking up in the Russell, which is good to see after it being so weak last week. It was so weak, pushing up in the NASDAQ, but the S&P is ticking down here now, where you are starting to sell off a little bit after a high of 3196.75. The ad decline line hit a high of 1713, and now we're coming down right now around a 1626. So that is significant to watch this. I think this is all going to be in correlation today. And this is what ATG and I were saying. We did get this initial push out of the gate, but I do think we're probably going to get a little bit of a dip here. Is it a dip buy? That I don't really know yet, So you guys, the VIX is still under 12, 11.91. I'm going to be starting to pick up some contracts in this VIX long, just because every time I've gotten it under 12, it has ended up being a big winner for me. So that is something to definitely watch. Yeah, and if you guys didn't already catch PCG, I'm sorry. We gave the news as quick as we could, but that thing just started plummeting. Yeah, Apex is watching AMD as well, and I figured a few people will be watching AMD as it tries to make this next push up. So VIX coming back alive a little bit here. Definitely going to be some fear moving around in here as this kind of oscillates back and forth. So going to probably be a choppy day, guys. After, again, it hits these pre-market highs like that, it's just, so hard. I guess this is one where we did actually hit the high in the cash, but right out of the gate. So it's going to be hard for that to get pushed back over. The sellers have been very inefficient lately, but on such low volume, especially getting lower and lower as we probably get closer to the new year, it's going to be hard to keep pushing up here. You guys, as I just said, that you can actually see the financials starting to sell off there. It was a nice big push up, but they're selling off. But the monsters of tech, all of the FANG stocks, are pushing up really strong against the XLF falling back. So that's why you're going to be seeing some of this chop here. That's what's going on. What happened is out of the gate, XLF and all the FANG stocks were pushing up, well, except for like two of them, but they were all pushing up together. And then XLF started selling off, and you can see that carries so much more weight. Most people do always assume that those FANG stocks carry the majority of the weight. It's actually not true. The XLF is absolutely a critical indicator to watch. That's why we talk about the banks so often in here. That's why ATG and I have brought them up month after month after month, is that first of all, they are great to play up and down and within their ranges. They really validate their trends, but at the same time, they are a critically weighted product inside of the S&P. So that is something we do watch. We did get a X tick at 31.96.75. So if that breaks, there will be we could see a big push higher. I do think that will be something we'll see. I do expect to have a bit of a pullback and maybe possible not a day dip buy, but something that would be prolonged into later into the week. So here we go. We're starting to sell off here. Now down to 31.92, kind of what we were expecting to see happen. Especially on that quick of a push up out of the gate, that is almost like a guaranteed push down. So this is going to be a battle here this morning, you guys. It's going to be kind of pretty interesting to be watching what's going to happen here this morning. We are at the add decline line of 1543, still very significantly bullish. Let me check in on my bonds. I want to see what's going on there. The bonds are kind of stagnant. They did sell off a bit this morning, and they're kind of just stagnant where they're sitting. Gold came back to life a little bit here. The VIX pushing back up. It did hit. Did it hit? Yeah, it did hit 12 for a second. So the XLF is going to be something that I'm going to be very significantly watching. Oil also coming back to life a little bit too this morning, so that's good to see too. Man, Boeing just bouncing right off of that. It's just crazy to see that thing. See, and there's a significant price line. You can see that's that trend line I have marked there. So what'll be interesting to see here, let me go ahead and blow this up for you guys. So let's make a little bit more sense. I have a feeling it's going to do it, but... So you can see this long-term trend line here, and so that's right where it's right where it's at, right? It opened up below there, but what it needs to do is it needs to climb over this, and that's where we'll get it back into this range. You can kind of see it's had this range. It stays in these ranges, right? It has a nice, so like here's a range it was in, then it drops, right? And then there's the range that it stays in, and then it ripped, and then it stays in this range, and then it drops, right? And then it stays in this range, and then we got the drop. Now what I suggest to see is that it comes back up and forms another range right in here. That would be best case scenario for Boeing, because if it starts to lose this thing, this bad boy is going to go really far down, like down into the 268s. However, as of right now, it is obviously looking like a decent, that would have been, yep, there it goes. See, it breaks that trend line. See, and that needs to close up above here. So this would have been a great dip buy on Boeing. That's exactly what this thing was. I mean, it's still down 2.27%, but if you grab this from the morning lows, which was 326, it's already up over $8, you know, $9. So I mean, that's a huge play already. So it will need to try to keep this trend line intact. Will be interesting to see what happens there. So I just wanted to pull that up real quick just so everybody could kind of see what we're talking about, guys. Roku, you know, still down only about 80 cents. That's nothing for Roku. We all know what that thing can do. It does definitely need to recapture back into this range. I'm definitely not going to be. I may sell some premium down here. But I'm definitely not going to be buying anything on Roku as of it right now. Tesla continuing to push up very strong, up to about $10 this morning. It's now hitting a high of $368.56. Shopify bounced right off that upper Celt. Literally, you couldn't have planned that any better. Bounced right off the upper Celt, and it's trying to make another push up here. I think it's going to need some more consolidation before it can get the next leg up this week. So that'll be something I'll be continuing to watch. Let's check in on... So there's AM. Oh my gosh, what happened there? Hotkeys going crazy. Yeah, so AMD is continuing to make a nice push up. It's already up over 3% now, up $1.26. We're hitting 42.41 here this morning. Baba continuing to push up. Bidu pushing up again. Literally, you could not have made this any clearer. It literally bounced directly off the upper Celt and now has been pushing back up. I mean, it gave you the entry and everything to the penny. Unbelievable. McDonald's on the other end of the spectrum had pushed up here to a high of 198.16 and then broke this upper Celt on the 4-hour, and now this is starting to come down. What'll be interesting to see is if they can save it on this upper Celt. Otherwise, I'd be looking for a a bearish play down to this 14 MA, which is about 195.49, somewhere in there. Disney finding support on the 14 MA on the 4-hour here, kind of stuck in this wedge between the middle Celt and the 14 MA, and Qualcomm still up about 1.7%. So it'll be interesting to see if I would like to see more consolidation. I'm not going to chase this right now on Qualcomm, but if I can get more consolidation or even a pullback, I will definitely be a dip buyer on Qualcomm. Check in on the FANGs. So Microsoft continuing to push up nice and strong here, hitting a high of 155.75. Google still kind of just chopping around, up about $8. Netflix similar, up about $2. Amazon sold off of most of its pre-market gains, but it's starting to come back to life here. Apple continuing to push up here, did hit an all-time high of 278.66, and it's only within about 30 cents of that again. And Facebook continuing to push up, nice 1.74% this morning. So that is good to see. You can see the Russell, the NASI, all ticking nice and strong up, while the S&P is starting to round out here. But that's good. That's what it needed to do. You can see the add decline line still holding up well above the 1500, so it's at 1537. We had that push up, the drop down, and now it's starting to push back up. I think we're going to kind of see this all day. I think we'll get a little chop around here. Now, if the sellers cannot control this, we could get a big squeeze up. I mean, even possibly a parabolic squeeze. I don't see that with the volume that we've had this morning. I'm looking at contracts on the other side, and yeah, the contracts aren't very good, but yeah, so this is going to be a very interesting day, guys. This is a critical day, to be honest. So, and those numbers should be coming out. Where are the PMI numbers? Yeah, the PMI numbers should have just been out a minute ago. I'm not finding them. Yeah, oil's near a 3-month high too, by the way, you guys. That's something I keep bringing up, is oil is a very good indicator. Why can I not find the PMI numbers? What is going on here? Is that what's pushing the market back up? I mean, I know the FANGs are going up hard. XLF is still kind of just flat, so I'm not sure. Why can't I? And the bonds are starting to sell off as well, you guys. Where are the PMI numbers? Does anybody else have them? Yeah, I can't find them. Give me a second, guys. I got to figure out what's going on here. I need to find those numbers. Yeah, guys, give me a minute. I got to try to find these numbers. We're pushing up back up to that high again. You guys are already at 31.96. So continue to watch that as we tick up here. Give me just a minute. I got to figure out what happened to these numbers. This is weird. Interesting. Yeah, I can't I can't find the PMI numbers. That's okay. It obviously wasn't bearish or that significant as it pushes up here. So a couple of things to note, guys. Tesla is at a 2019 high. I can't remember when they're going to be passing. So they're deciding whether or not to push the EV credit. I think if they hit that, no, if they do pass that EV credit again, I think there is no reason Tesla will not rip to at least 38 or 380, you guys. So that's something to keep on watch. Also, is Tesla for that push up, depending on what happens with this. With the EV credit. If they deny it, I think we see a big drop. I think it's literally in the hands of the government. I don't really see why they wouldn't pass it. So I think when that passes, we're going to get a big breakout in Tesla. The other thing is we just hit that high of 3197.25. If the sellers cannot keep this under control, we're going to get a nice breakout going on. A lot of things are at all-time highs. Dollar inflow is also at a high, daily highs, as everything's pushing up with price. So that is significantly bullish. I mean, obviously we're going to get some chop across as we go, but I think as everything is kind of pushing up here, it's pretty significant. So let's go through these one more time here this morning. So you can see XLF is actually selling off a bit here this morning. But everything else is pushing up. You've got bonds selling off. You've got gold coming back down. Oil's finally pushing back up, hitting a 3-month high, and it's continuing to push up. I mean, it's chopping around as I speak, but you can see that it's moving up and down. Facebook continues to push up. Apple hitting an all-time high of 279.37, continuing to push up. Amazon kind of coming back to life a little bit here, as well as Netflix and Google starting to push up, and Microsoft pushing up pretty strong. I mean, it's coming off a little bit of those highs, but I think if this thing stays bullish, we could see 156, 156.25 today, and Microsoft if it continues to push up. If we sell off, we're probably going back down to that like 155, 154.90 area. Boeing continuing to push up pretty strong here after such a big dip. Shop still holding that same level. Roku is selling off pretty strong, already down 3%. Activision, it did sell off a little bit from hitting a pre-market high of 59.34. Still looking significantly bullish for the long term, especially if it can consolidate here. NVIDIA, kind of the same thing as Activision, where it came off of its pre-market highs, but it's still looking very bullish, especially if it consolidates. I would love to be a buyer on a dip buy for this thing, so if it can come back in a little bit, especially if it could come back into that upper Celt, I would love to be a long buyer on that. And Tesla just absolutely ripping today at 3.22%, up $11.55, hitting a high of 370.65. I see absolutely no reason that if that EV credit is extended, that thing will easily hit 380. I have no doubts about it. In fact, I think it could go higher. I don't think we'll see 400 before the end of the year. But if that EV credit goes through and volume picks up, I mean, Tesla, it could easily go up $30 in the next 2 weeks. I don't think it'll happen, but 380 is definitely a target that I think is realistic. BABA and Baidu China stocks continuing to push up with pretty strong China news out pre-market. AMD also continuing to push up, now up 3.12%. Qualcomm still pushing itself back up there, about 2% this morning. Disney did sell off a little bit more. It did break the 14 MA, so that will be interesting to see if they can keep this line there. You can see them fighting for it as I speak. And McDonald's still holding that upper Celt, so that is a critical level it needs to hold today if it wants to continue to push up. I do think McDonald's needs some consolidation. It has been a pretty good chart. I mean, we got it last week at 192, and it's pushed all the way back up to 198. And for McDonald's, that's a pretty good run. So that'll be McDonald's is one that I think definitely should be on the radar this week for sure for most guys. So that's what we're going to continue to watch here as we continue to push up. We're still above 1557 for our decline line, and we continue to tick up in most of the charts, except for the S&P is kind of slightly at a downward angle, but you can see that that's just the way it's going to round out. I almost guarantee this will round out in the next hour to 2 hours. So I'll also be watching those. I got some more numbers coming out. What was next? Hold on one second. Let me look back at my charts. I know we had a couple more numbers. Yeah, so we had those PMI numbers. So we have another number coming out at 10 a.m. is the housing market index for December. The estimate is 70, so that will be interesting to see. That does have potential to move the market around a little bit. And then nothing else till tonight at close for yeah. So one more number that's interesting for this morning that comes out here in about 5 minutes. So also, I just want so everybody knows so I'm just clear as transparent. I am picking up contracts in the VIX to go long for a couple of weeks out underneath this 12. I will always pick them up. I also am picking up a couple of contracts in the UVXY just so I can be completely transparent. Also of note, so Roku and Beyond is actually down 4% this morning at 71.97, and Roku being down 3% at 128.69. So I just wanted to stress those. So Beyond and Roku, as far as my watch list, are the lowest losers, and the highest winner right now is MU, which I pointed out pre-market and last night. Is Micron. They also have earnings, so that this is probably the rally up on MU to push up. So they are up about 4%. Tesla up over 3%. AMD up 3%. And then Goldman Sachs, Baidu, Qualcomm, Facebook all up about 1 to 2%. And then below that, Apple up 1.4, Skyworks up 1.3, Wells Fargo 1.2, and Hewlett Packard up 1.19. So those are just the leaders that I wanted to go through. So yeah, MU would have been a tricky trade because well, here I can show you guys it pretty much just ripped right out of the gate. Here, let me grab it real quick. Yeah, so you can see, Friday had just been consolidating under VWAP, so it was really tricky to get above that. And then pre-market out of the gate, it just ripped. So really, there wasn't much of a chase here. You would have been chasing this thing, and it keeps bouncing. It's really holding this VWAP really, really consistently during pre-market, which is good to see. And same here. So pretty much, and the only way you'd have to scalp this thing over and over as it would hit VWAP, and then buy that. But the IV is so extended because of earnings coming up that it's just you're chasing this thing for very, very limited gains. And I believe it's tomorrow. Yeah. Oh no, they're today. Are they today? No, they're on the 18th. Okay, on Wednesday. I was like, there's no way they're today. Yeah, earnings are on Wednesday after the market on MU. Okay, on Micron. I was gonna say, yeah. So we're probably gonna get we'll probably get a big push in MU today and possibly tomorrow, and then you'll probably see some profit taking. And I don't know. I may work out a butterfly around that. So maybe we'll do one of our little Aries golden vultures. For that, and if anybody wants to take it, it'll probably end up being like a 50 cent to like 70 cent play. So I will talk more about that tomorrow and into Wednesday. So yeah, that might be an earnings play that people want to try out, and it'll be limited risk. We'll make sure that it's not too bad. But the cool thing is about when I run those vultures, it's a broken wing butterfly basically, but I risk about 50 cents to make like $1.50 to $2. So it's literally 150 to 200% gain, risking 50 cents. So yeah, so maybe that's something we'll talk about. Try to get you guys a little bit more into those earnings. I'm really trying to show you guys that you don't need to be buying huge, IV contracts for these earnings or trying to sell them, which is even more risky. That if you can build these vultures, as we call them, but they're broken wing butterflies, it's a very, very low risk for a nice high. The thing is that it's about a 75 to 76% probability that I've had on them this year. But the thing is that when I'm losing 50 cents, but I'm making $1.50 2 out of 3 times, it is well worth it. So that's something maybe we'll talk about more tomorrow and Wednesday, and maybe we can set up a couple of those on Wednesday for you guys. I know a couple of people were interested in them last time, so And Micron's like a perfect size product, being a $50 product. That is a perfect product to set them up on so they're not overly expensive. We are hitting below 1,500 for the first time on the add decline line for this morning. We're down at 1479, still well above the 1,000 mark, and just continuing to chop around here. Let's check in on our futures. So the sell-off in XLF continuing to push down here, is still up about 0.63%. So that'll be interesting to watch where XLF continues to push around. The VIX continuing to hover around this 1197 area. You can see on the right-hand side, oil making a big push up here to 60.27, and it continuing to rise. This is a big push for oil this morning, and it has a lot to do with the China trade issue. Gold starting to sell off a little bit more here, and bonds continuing to push down significantly all the way down to a 157.13. So that is significantly bullish still as we continue to push into this morning. Facebook continuing to push up here, as well as Apple kind of hovering around this all-time high, 279.49. So it's right in the 279 area. Amazon just super choppy. Netflix as well, very choppy. Google starting to make a nice little push up, and Microsoft. So the fangs are about half and half. You've got Facebook, Apple, and Google all making nice slow and steady pushes up, and you got Amazon, Netflix, and Microsoft pretty much all kind of chopping around. So it's about 50-50 there this morning. Boeing continuing to make a nice push up. It's already all the way back up to 335.52. Roku finally turning this around after pushed all the way down to 127.53, and it's back up to 130 now, 81 now. Activision continuing to sell off a little bit after that high. It's down now to 58.81. Shopify, literally again, it just bounced right off of that upper celt, and it's back up to 388.59. Nvidia kind of doing similar as Shopify, hovering around 225.75, so it's up still $1.80, so it's about 0.8%, 0.9%. And Tesla just still ripping, already up $15 this morning to 373.70, so it's up over 4.19%. So Tesla just absolutely beasting this morning. Baba and Baidu both continuing to push up, as well as AMD. Qualcomm still kind of, it's still hit a high of 89.76, but we're still sitting around 89.52. Disney, they're saving it on that 14MA, so I think that's going to kind of be the play for it today. It's going to kind of be going in between this wedge. And McDonald's continuing to hold that upper celt on the 4 hour, so very, very good there. And there we go. Home builder confidence jumps to highest level in 20 years. Wow. Let me look at this, guys. Hold on one second. Wow, that's incredible. So what we may see off of this home builder number, so home builder confidence jumps to highest level in 20 years. Builder confidence in the newly built single family home market jumped to 5 points in December to 76. Remember what I told you guys, the estimate was 70. That is huge. The highest reading since June 1999. What I'll be looking for possibly now is I'll be looking at like Home Depot and Lowe's and XHB to see if they will catch some of that love off of this play. So I will get to that in just a second and see if we can see here. Let me look around and see if we can find that. So yeah, so Tesla still leading the charge, up 4.34%, MU at 4%. Where is... So Home Depot up $1, which is 0.49%, so nothing too significant yet. I will be continuing to watch that to see if it plays off of these numbers. I think maybe going into later today and into the rest of the week, perhaps. And... And Lowe's pushing up $1.40, which is 1.18%, hitting a new high of 31.9750 just now. So yeah, I'll be watching those home builder names after these numbers, because that is significant. And that's not something that'll just be over today. I think that's something that will play out for the over this week. Current sales conditions rose 7 points to 84. Sales expectations in the next 6 months rose 1 point to 79, and buyer traffic increased 4 points to 58. Regionally, on a 3-month moving average, builder sentiment in the Northeast fell 2 points to 61, increased 5 points in the Midwest to 63, and moved 1 point higher in the South to 76, and increased 3 points in the West to 84. So, yeah, very, very strong. They're saying a stronger economy and a severe housing shortage have the nation's home builders feeling better than they have in 2 decades. So this is very, very significant, you guys. I will be talking more about this tonight and tomorrow, I'm sure, and I'll be watching, again, Lowe's, Home Depot, and XHB for some push up off of these numbers, and especially if they continue to come out with some more of the info on those. Wow, that's incredible. That's good to see, you guys. That's good for the economy too. That's where a lot of the economy gets its positive sentiment from. So wow, that's incredible. Oh, Kramer. Don't be picking on Kramer. That's funny, though. That was good. See XLF coming back to life here. This could be a nice push back up for the market, guys. If the fangs continue to push up and XLF pushes up, we're gonna have a nice big push back up here again. So if you're in individual products and names, guys, I see nothing right now to see any kind of sell off. Yeah, Facebook, Apple continuing to push up nice and high, as well as Google hit a high of 1359.90. Amazon, Netflix, and Microsoft continuing to just kind of chop around this morning. So it'll be interesting to see. So it's 50-50. If those 3 names are even Amazon and Netflix, or just even Amazon really with the weight, if that thing turns around and XLF continues to rise with Apple, Facebook, and Google, we could see a really big push up tonight. So Boeing finally giving back some of that push up this morning. Roku continuing to push back up from its lows. Activision continues to push down off of its pre-market high. Shopify finally coming back to life here, now up 2%. So, man, I'm glad I kept onto that runner. It did get a little bit of IV crush, but it's already back up. So I mean, I'm deep in the money already. So that's why I always try to get guys to buy a little bit farther in there. So wow, Tesla already to 376. So I guess that 380 was a good bet, wasn't it? So maybe we will see 400. I don't know. It depends on what happens with a lot of this credit deal going on there with Tesla. So what a big, beautiful push from Tesla this morning. $18, over 5% already this morning. I do expect to see some profit taking at some point up here, but this thing, I mean, boom, 377 as I speak. This thing is just absolutely a beast this morning. Incredible. Wow. Bidu really pushing up hard here, as well as Baba really strong this morning, and AMD. A lot of things coming back to life here. McDonald's continuing to hold on to that upper celt. It is retesting it once again here, and Disney still just stuck in this little wedge, but that consolidation is good on McDonald's, so that'll be interesting to see here. Man, Tesla, what a beast today. Wow, pushing up there, hitting that high of 31.98. That is just what a crazy run overnight. Big push. There's a lot of things pushing up though this morning, so not too surprised. You can see on my tick chart, finally dipped and put over just exactly how we anticipated, like to a T, exactly what we said it was going to do. Pushing up here now, so sellers are pretty much just completely losing control. So this thing could continue to push up. I mean, I would not be surprised if we saw this 3,200 today. And the add divergence line coming back to life here, up at 1520 as well. Check in on our futures map here. Yeah, XLF really pushing back up here, hitting 30.98 now as the bonds continue to sell off. However, something that is a divergence here. You can see the market pushing up. You can see XLF pushing up. Oil kind of coming back in, which doesn't really mean too much right here. But see how gold is pushing up as well, hitting a high of 1484.50 while bonds sell off. This, though, is something I would definitely be watching as gold starts to push up and XLF and the market's pushing up. So to me, this is something to be keep on watch. VIX is all the way down to 1182, so that is something that's significant. While gold might just kind of be on its own here, but usually this is a signal of something coming, that especially fear in the market. That is something that I usually watch. So as the VIX continues to push down, I mean, I'm just going to continue to pick up, a contract here and there as this thing just keeps going lower. Checking on the FANGs. So Facebook, Apple continuing to push up. Amazon still just kind of now actually in the red, but chopping around. Same with Netflix and Microsoft. And Google continue to push up. So the same story. Facebook, Apple, Google, all looking bullish and nice and pushing up, holding up the market. Netflix, Amazon, and Microsoft kind of chopping around. None of them dragging down the market by any means, but definitely chopping around. Boeing continuing to bring in a little bit. I think that trend line is going to come into significant play here. Hopefully they can hold that up for itself. If not, we're going to lose that, and that's where we're going to just see a big drop. Shopify continuing to make this nice, big, strong push up. It did hit a high of 394.30. We're sitting around 393.42. Roku also continuing to hold its levels after that nice little dip and push back up. Tesla coming off the high there of 377.11, still up over $16, and so that's 4.5%, 4.6%. Activision giving back most of those gains from pre-market. We're only up about 23 cents from Friday's close. Baba and Bidu continuing to make these beautiful pushes up this morning. Baba did hit a high of 208. Sorry, I cannot talk. 208, sitting at 207.97. So right on the doorstep of highs, and Bidu continuing to push up. I'd like to see Bidu get over those highs from Friday morning, which was 122.73. AMD, the same thing. I would love to see that thing push up over to $43. I don't think that'll happen today. I mean, it's already up about 3.6%, but we'll see what she can do. Qualcomm pushing up, hitting a high of 89.88 here, so we are up over about $1.92, so about 2.19%. Said that kind of weird. Sorry about that. McDonald's is now losing this Kelt, and also Disney was losing the 14MA as well. So that is something significant to watch. And there goes those gold gains I was talking about. So it just did drop. So that was kind of on its own little run there for whatever reason. Crazy open this morning, man. Things just ripping around up here. That was good to see. Nice and bullish, nice and strong, pushing up to the week's end. So it'll be interesting to see if we get that dip. I still would like to see the market get that dip, so we can get a nice strong push up. Because when we go up too fast, obviously, is when we get those big drops back, which are great to trade on, but I do think we need to see a little more consolidation. So it'll be interesting to see what happens the rest of today into this afternoon and then after hours. So, but so many things, strong indications, good numbers. I mean, it's going to be hard for them to push this thing down. And sellers have just been so inefficient, guys. It's just been incredible. So continuing to push up here. Oh. Sorry, I was watching the news thing here. They're talking about Uber in talks to sell India food delivery service. India is such the new what do you call it? The new third economy. I don't know what to call it. Everyone that knows there's a lot of money up and coming in India. It's definitely still at one of those weird levels where there's a lot of poverty, but there is a lot of new money in India, and there's going to be a lot. The next they say that in the next decade, there's going to be a significant upturn in the median income in India. So you'll see a lot of musicians playing there more, catering more towards it. There's a lot of the movie and production and entertainment in general making a push towards India's market, and a lot of new businesses are starting to make that push. It's really tricky to get authorization for a foreign business in India. They're very, very easy to work with on a local level. And that if you're a citizen of India, it's extremely easy to get something going. But anytime a foreign entity comes in, it is the craziest red tape I've ever seen. So it's interesting to see things like Uber and Apple making a big push into India. I know Apple's been talking to them all this year. I've heard several articles come out. I think the other one was Tesla talking about possibly doing something in India. They were talking about a battery factory. Wow, the VIX hitting now down to 1179. This is, whew. Man, oh man, 1177 as I talk and breathe. Crazy. Where she'll stop, nobody knows. Down 6.81%. Yikes. That is crazy low. Hitting a high 31.99. Come on, baby, 32. I want to see it today. So we're up 0.74% this morning. Love to see that hit 32 today, just to see it. Sorry, guys. Those are some of my hedging stuff. That's some of my VIX and UVXYs hitting. I did sell my last Tesla. I'm holding on to that Shopify. Those are all very long-term plays. I don't up being up so much on that Tesla and Shopify. So hard for me to continue to hold. So close to hitting that 31.99.50. Come on. I want to see it. Sorry, don't mean to do that in the mic, you guys. That's got to be annoying. Gold really coming off. There we go, 3,200. Ding, 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 ding. I should have set like some crazy alarm with like crazy music. So yeah, hitting 3,200 there. Gold significantly pulling back. Bonds selling off pretty strong. XLF really pushing up really hard here. I mean, up 0.9%. That's really big for XLF. You can see also the FANGs as Apple hitting a high of 280. That's unbelievable run this year. Facebook pushing up hard. Netflix coming back to life out of nowhere, just ripping up to 301.93. Amazon continuing to fall down, Google giving back a little bit of that push, and Microsoft actually coming back alive. So you can see that Facebook, Apple, Google kind of holding up as it did. Amazon kind of falling apart, but Microsoft and Netflix coming back to life, as well as XLF, was a significant push up on the market there. Boeing still just holding on ever so slightly to that trend line. Roku finally pushing back up into the green here, up now 1.8%, so up $2.49 after a low of 127. I mean, that's an $8 move if you would have caught that dip buy on Roku, right? Shopify still pushing up, as well as Nvidia, and Tesla still sitting around 376.24. Baba and Bidu continuing to push up at highs here of 208.71 on Baba and 123.19 on Bidu. AMD continuing to push up at 42.60. Qualcomm still around that same level, and Disney and McDonald's still holding on to those levels as we said. Wow, we did it. We hit the 3,200. I've just been waiting for this for so long. Sorry, I'm a little bit excited. 3,250. The VIX still holding up here at 1183. It did hit a low of 1177. So I think as we continue to climb up here, we will start to see a little bit of people starting to bring in some risk as people start to get a little bit, wouldn't want to say scared is the right word, but don't be scared. Be interesting to see we hold these gains or if we start to come back off of that today. That's gonna be very interesting. Let me check in on some of my other indicators here. See if I need to get out of anything. Yeah, I remember, guys, as I was saying just a few minutes ago, too, that dollar inflow is continuing to push in as with price. So that is significantly bullish, not just for today, but overall. So, oh, so that's why Netflix is coming back to life. So Netflix ramps up its cross promotion efforts. I did not know that. So that's what's going on here. Okay, so that news just broke. Well, a few minutes ago, I just missed it, but. $32.01. So we're backing off a little bit here after hitting that high of 32.01, but I still I wanted to see it. I'm glad I saw it. Hope you're all with me still. It's just cool to see. Finally. So backing off there, that could be the high of day. We continue to chop around, but I think we're gonna continue to try to get pushing up here. These sellers are just so exhausted and absolutely no follow through. So they're pretty much lost control of this market the last 3 months. So this is all anticipated, all expected. So it's continue to push up. I'm not going to go too far here, guys. It is 8:30. I need to take a student call. I'll be on there for a few minutes. Then I'll come back over. We'll look at the rest of the charts, look for some maybe into some swing trades after everything is at these high levels. You guys have any questions? Obviously, ATHs back in the Discord. I'm obviously always available on here or in Discord. I think everybody is, from what I've heard this morning, I like the ideas going around. It seems like everybody is at least looking at things in a much better way. Like Darth said on the Outlook video, very proud of what you guys are accomplished in the last few months. Just very more as much. Yeah, we joke around still, but the professionalism as far as the trade ideas and what you guys are looking at is really significant, and it's really nice to see. So I'm gonna get on a call with him. He's waiting, but I will come back here in just a few minutes, and we'll go over some stuff that I'm seeing. And there is some significant stuff to go over, especially tonight. We'll have to see how this market closes, and as we get closer to the end of the year. So yeah, if you got gains, lock some of that in. Otherwise, I would be doing kind of what I'm looking at here with some of this hedging activity. I wouldn't go too heavy at all. We definitely have lots of room up to keep pushing, but I want to start setting myself up for that downturn. So. Yep, I'll be back shortly, guys. Yep, stay green, and if you need anything at all, ask me or ATG or one of the guys in Discord or on here, and we'll answer it best we can. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that, guys. That took quite a while. Not much has changed. Still chopping around this area between this dipping down to like 31.98 to the 32.01. Ad divergence line still holding well above the 1,000 mark. We're sitting down at daily lows of 13.96 as I speak. VIX still down around 11.76 area as we continue to pretty much tick sideways. Let's look in before I close out. Let's look at our futures board. XLF coming off of daily highs. The VIX down at 11.72. NASDAQ hit a high of 86.1550. You can see gold significantly selling off from daily highs of 14.84 down to 14.78. Bonds continuing to just absolutely plummet this morning, down to a 156.31. Pretty significantly bullish still there. Looking at our FANGs, you can see that Facebook coming off of its highs, starting to come down and holding out on that line of support there. Apple continuing to push up at daily all-time highs of 280.47, still sitting right within there, sitting at 280.35. Amazon absolutely just super choppy this morning, as well as Microsoft and Google. All three basically chopping around. Google is up $10 though, but it's only 0.81%. But they're all chopping around. Netflix hitting a high of 305.60, coming off that just ever so slightly, but still up over 2%. Boeing lost that big push from this morning, so pushing back down to daily highs, now down 3.3%, and that trend line still holding critical importance. Roku finally pushing up over the lower Celt on the 4-hour, putting up over 3%, so we're up over $4. Activision continuing to sell off from daily highs, as well as Shopify kind of holding out around this 392 level. NVIDIA still holding on to its gains from this morning, still up 1.49%. And Tesla continuing to push up here, up over $21.45 at $379.99, nailing that 380 that we called out this morning. I can't believe it, within 1 cent right now. So it's up 5.92%, so almost 6% and almost over $21. So 379.99. I can't believe it. That 380 just came into play. Absolutely insane. Baba and Bidu coming off of its highs this morning. AMD hitting all-time highs of 42.98, backing off just ever so slightly. Qualcomm backing off of its highs also at 90.46, still up 1.96%. So about 2% right now. Disney starting to push up, but having a lot of resistance on that 4-hour middle Celt there. Hopefully it can get over that today and then see that close on the next 4-hour candle open up above middle Celt would be bullish on Disney. And McDonald's still finding support directly on that upper Celt on the 4-hour. So as long as it can hold that, I would be looking for like a dip buy type of situation in McDonald's going into this week. So that's where we stand going into the afternoon here. I expect more chop through today. I would not be surprised to see a possible another high, but I think we're going to get a nice chop around for the rest of the day. And we will see. We've got one more number coming out, but that's right at cash close, so I don't think anything to do with there. There are some earnings after the close today, but nothing of high significance until tomorrow. I will talk more about that tonight and tomorrow. Other than that, just be careful, guys. Ask your questions in Discord, and we'll go from there. Have a good day, and great start to the week. Great morning for myself, and I'm sure many of you. So, yeah, let's keep that going for the rest of the week, guys. Good luck.